Hi everyone. So I've got Maria here with me today, and she has got an absolutely extraordinary story that I really wanted to share with you. So, firstly, Maria, thank you so much for being here. Um, I met Maria about a year ago on Business Mastery with Tony Robbins, and since then, I've heard the different parts of her story of how her life's changed and just I'm not going to mention anything because you need to hear it from her, and it's stunning. And I think it really shows that anything is possible. Dream big, go for your dreams, because like it's amazing. So, firstly, hi Maria.
Hi Claire. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share this story, and I really appreciate to be here with you. And hi everyone.
Oh, thank you. It means, as I said, it means so much that you're here and you're sharing this, because I think it's an amazing story.
Thank you.
So, do you want to just kind of tell everyone a little bit about you to start with?
Yes. Well, I was born in Hungary, in a little town in the south, very close to Serbia. But I moved away very early in my life to Germany, and then I lived in England, and then I ended up in Spain, where I moved to be with a partner that I had at that time. And it wasn't really the best relationship, to be honest. I learned a lot from it, but I went through a lot of pain with it. And it was, I opened my first business when I moved there. It was a little pastry shop which went bankrupt after that. So I went through quite a few things in my life so far. And the biggest changes happened in the last 12 months, I would say. But the leading up to that was very important as well. And I met a few people recently who were telling me that they are struggling with their lives, and they are trying to look for a way out. And when you are in that point, it always seems a little bit endless, right? So right now I am in Hungary, but soon, which is part of my story, I will be moving to the United States. So I will come to that as well when I tell my story.
Yeah, totally. So I love the fact that you mentioned there about how, you know, an important part of the story is what happened previous to 12 months ago that kind of made you make the shift in terms of where your life was at. So you said you had a little bakery, which sounds so sweet, but that wasn't working, and so things were feeling really difficult, were they?
Yes, I lost basically everything I had until that point. And I was working very hard to get together the funding for that business. And in 6 months, everything just vanished, and my relationship wasn't really working as well. I was terrible. I had a terrible relationship with my parents at that point. So it seemed like all areas in my life was a mess. I was also living in a new country. I didn't really speak Spanish when I moved there, so I had 2-3 months to learn and then open the business. And it was a huge leap of faith, but it worked out the way it did. So now I'm grateful for it. But at that point, it was a tremendous amount of pain. And after that, I decided I was kind of swimming in this pool of misery for a couple of years, and still being in that relationship, because that was my only point of certainty in the country that I didn't really know, and I didn't really have friends or family there. And after a while, I ended up in a point where I said to myself, there is no more, enough is enough. So changes need to happen. And of course, I didn't know anybody who was involved in personal development or could give me an advice. I didn't hear about coaching or anything like that at that point. I thought that everything what I can achieve or can have in life, I have to work for myself.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to ask for help, even if I had people around me. So I decided to look for a job, which I found, but it was a minimum wage. I was there for a while, but I still felt that it's not enough. It's something, there's more inside me, and there's more in life than a minimum wage and a miserable relationship and a terrible family life. So I decided to look for more, and I created myself a little bit of a morning routine, and waking up early, kind of working on my mindset, reading a couple of inspirational books. But then the big change happened when a year ago, and it was March 2015, and that I went to a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within, which I assume Claire was there as well. We didn't meet in person at that time. And that really set me up for this series of changes that were about to happen. And I ended up meeting a lot of people there, which I kept in contact with. It was just rolling in my life that I went to different seminars, different events. I started to incorporate all the things that I learned at that time. And I left my relationship just 3-4 months before that seminar. So I was moving to a different city, a different job. Everything was new, and I was ready for a new life. I was living in Marbella, which is a beautiful town in south of Spain. And but I still had the scars from the pain that I endured before. So then I decided to make this change, and I went to this event. I met all these people. I signed up for all the different seminars throughout the year, and little by little, I really felt that my mindset is changing as well. I started to believe that I deserve more, and there is more to life. And I always had problems with self-love and self-belief, and even though I knew that there is more for life, I never felt good enough to go after and really put 100% there and be my true self, no matter what.
I think that's so important, isn't it? Because I think like those 2 points that you made just then are enormous. One, the fact that there is more, and like it's possible to go out and do the things that you really want to do and create the life that you really want. But secondly, that you've got to actually believe that you're worth it, and you've got to believe that like this is okay for me. It's not just okay for other people. Like I deserve this too.
Yes.
When did you realize that a shift had happened in terms of like what you believed was okay for you so that you could have it?
I think it was around mid year, somewhere in July. I never felt that I can love. I never had love in the past. I came from a family we never really shared, or I've never been hugged or told that I was loved, which was very difficult to live as a child. But I knew that my parents loved me. But of course, it's difficult to grow up like that. And at the same time, since I didn't have any reference, I didn't know how to share it with others. So I was always trying to be positive and be a good friend and be a good partner as well for the people who were with me at those times. And but I didn't really know that I'm doing it right, or I always had this feeling that I don't know what love is. And in July, I had a shift, and I really connected with my more feminine side, which was allowing me to let things flow. And that's when I believed and that I'm ready for something that is something that is really coming to my way, something like real love or real relationships or a family, not only with relationships, not only with in a romantic sense, but also intimate friendships, and also creating a better relationship with my parents or brother, and everybody else.
I think that's fascinating, the fact that it was the feminine energy that you mentioned, because I think that's so true. And as women, sometimes we can almost put a cap on our feminine energy, because we think to make things happen more quickly, we almost get into a slightly more masculine mode. And I think there are a lot of very successful women who really are quite tapped into masculine energy. And I think it's so beautiful when you see a woman really owning the feminine side of the energy, and showing that it can be done in a different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's when I realized, that feminine energy is not the ideal that you set up in your mind, because obviously I was always a very masculine in my head. Like, I wanted to control every area of my life, which is part of masculinity. I didn't really let things happen the way they were. I always had plans for the future, and sometimes they worked out, sometimes they didn't, but I was always prepared. And I had this image in my head, or this idea, that feminine means weak, and having feelings will let you end up being hurt at the end. And that's why I never let myself feel, and I ended up not having real relationships in my life.
Yeah.
And in that shift in July, I realized that it's not about getting hurt or not. It's when you are connected with your true self, and you let yourself be the woman you are meant to be. Then when you allow yourself to be vulnerable for everything that is about to come to your life, miracles will happen.
Yeah, and they do, as we
they absolutely do.
And I love that. Because that resonates with me on such a deep level. It's what I so truly believe, and I think that's why your story shows that magic can happen, and that's what I love about it so much. So tell us when this shift happened, because really, like, listening to your story, it's kind of been a 12 to 18 month kind of journey that it really makes me think about that compound effect. Like, it started here, but then, like, suddenly everything shifted, and you kind of got everything that you wanted, right? So when you started really hitting that curve, what started happening? Tell us all the juicy bits.
Yeah. When I hit that curve, I started to incorporate every little bit of learning that I had until that point about self-love, and envisioning what do I truly want in a relationship, or in my life, when it comes to feelings and emotions. So I started journaling, writing down daily what I'm looking for, and I had this ideal relationship vision in my head that at the beginning it was hard to believe that I deserve it.
Sorry, I need to sneeze. Sorry, I mean, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so at the beginning, before connecting with my feminine side, I had this idea already, but I didn't know, or didn't really believe that I deserve it, because I didn't feel beautiful enough, or I didn't feel good enough, or lovable enough, or I didn't know that I have enough to give to the person who I imagine myself to be with. And I started to ask myself the question, who do I need to become? Who does this person who I want in my life will require to be in a loving honest relationship. So I started to change my mindset as well with affirmations and different sort of exercises that I did. And I really, instead of focusing on my surroundings and my circumstances, I started to focus on myself. And I said, okay, well, it will happen when it happens. I'm not going to force it. And that's when amazing things started to happen. Men started to come in my life without me even realizing it. And it was really, really amazing, because until that point, I didn't really have a date or anybody who I kind of liked.
Yeah.
And a little bit later, I realized that I was going to this event in December, Date with Destiny, with Tony Robbins, and I was expecting a lot from that before going there. And I was actually told by a psychic as well that you will meet the love of your life, and it will be amazing, and you won't come home. You will stay there. And I was a little bit skeptical at that point, but at the same time, it's in the back of your head, and you're thinking, maybe if it happens, maybe I really have to go to this event, because that's where everything will happen. And in November, a great shift happened to me. Just a few weeks before the event, I realized that maybe it's not the love of my life that I will find there, but maybe the love for myself. And if I find the love for myself, that's more than enough outcome that I'm looking for in that event. And in that moment, when I thought that, or when I wrote that down in my journal, that's when I really felt that I let go of this forced, really, grabbing that. I really want that relationship. I need that. I need a man. I'm not whole. So in that moment, I said, I'm enough. I'm whole. I'm just need another person later in the future. When we are ready, we'll come. It's okay. Everything will happen. Yeah. And and a few weeks later, I went to Date with Destiny, and it was an amazing event. And I didn't really think during the event that, oh yes, maybe my future husband is in the room as well. I just really focused on myself and my journey, and the way to discover my true self and let go of my limitations. And after that event, I had the privilege to participate in another amazing journey, a very spiritual one, just right after. And 3 days later, I went for a run in the morning on the beach in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And my heart was filled with gratitude. I was high-fiving the workers that were there in the morning, and everything was just so happy. And I said to myself, look at you. You were a little girl from Hungary. Look how far you came and where you are right now. And it all happened in the last few months, basically. Yeah. And I started to notice the power that we have over ourselves, like what we can create within a short period of time. Instead of just focusing on our current situation, we can really dream big. And when you act on it and you just let things flow and really continuously looking for the next step that you can take, it can really take you far. Especially on a 6 or 6:30 in the morning, in a foreign country, in a different continent where I've never been before. I was just standing there after half an hour of running. I was sweating and everything. I was standing there in the middle of a beach and just watching the sunrise. And there were people walking their dogs and people passing. And there was a guy on his surfboard, another one in the water. And I was just saying to myself that this is so magical. This is so amazing. I couldn't be more grateful. And I asked myself at that point, how can I make this moment even more real? How can I make this more memorable? And since then, this is my primary question that I ask in every single moment of my life. When I feel that I got to a fork road and I don't know where to go, or I just want to make my life a little bit more exciting, I say, what can I do to make this moment right now even more beautiful?
I love that.
So at that point, I started to walk down to the ocean, and I wanted to touch the ocean because I thought that, and it's another sense that I can
that's how you can do it.
Yeah, another memory. And then I will go back and to my hotel and go on with the day. And I was starting to walk down, and these two surfers, they were taking pictures of each other. So I walked in the picture, and I realized that, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't want to ruin the picture. And one of them said, don't worry, I really want you to be in the picture. It's my birthday. And I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. It's my mother's birthday too. That's mind-blowing. I mean, that deserves a hug. So we started to hug with this stranger. And we kind of were in lock for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes. And I never had this experience in my life. It was suddenly a feeling of being home. And we were telling each other things that I didn't even know how they came out of my mouth. Like, I feel home. And he said, I never felt more comfortable in my life. And I was like, okay, well, here we are. And when we finally started to communicate and look at each other, the first thing that he said to me was, would you spend the rest of your life with me? And I said, well, yes. So and then he asked my name, which was kind of funny.
I love that.
Yeah. So we introduced ourselves to each other, and we agreed that we are getting married, so it's time to get to know each other. So we chatted for about an hour or two, but I had to go back to the hotel, so we exchanged numbers and we agreed to meet later on. And here I am in June right now, 6 months ago when this happened, and we are getting married. I've been visiting him quite a few times in the US, and he came as well to Europe to be with me for a while. And we are getting married at the end of this year, starting a new life, moving to Florida, dreaming big.
I just think it's amazing that you had that connection in that moment.
Yes.
And it was so deep and so true that both of you could see it for what it was. And because it's like, when does that happen? It's absolutely amazing. When do you hug a stranger and go from total stranger to having that real close connection and decided to spend the rest of your life together with, do you know what I mean?
It's it's really amazing. When I was thinking about this after everything happened, and how many little things had to come together for him to be in that position, in that open state, and for me as well to be right there, then, feeling so amazing and grateful, and allowing miracles to happen. And he's not from Florida, he's from New Jersey, but he lives there. So and I'm from Hungary, so obviously that's weird. So we were in the right time, right moment, right people, so right place. Everything was just working out well. And since then, miracles happened before as well, but since then I started to truly believe that when you are in this beautiful state of letting your life flow the way it's supposed to, and you're not worrying about, oh my God, what am I going to do? Everything will work out well. As long as you keep moving forward and do your very best. It doesn't have to be an extraordinary mm, you know, progress every single day. But as long as you do little steps every single day, it's going to happen. Eventually it will come. And of course, believe in it, because if you don't, then obviously you don't think that you deserve it, you will never have it.
Yeah.
And it's funny as well, because when I really looked at him after all this magic came down, I said, he's exactly what I wrote down in my relationship vision a few days ago in that seminar. And he's exactly what I was looking for inside and out. He's just the, you know, like coming out of the ocean right into my life from my dreams.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing. And as you say, it is so many things that had to line up for you to meet. The power of that meeting, but also, you know, who you've become on that journey. And you've said so many, like, as you were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you kept saying so many things that really, I was like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, and I do think it's all about, you know, I know in my own life, when I'm pushing really hard, things don't happen very easily and I don't get the results I want. I do absolutely believe it's about getting in flow and showing up as your best self and continuing to learn and grow, and everything then falls into place, doesn't it? And
letting go has a tremendous amount of value in life. When desire is a healthy thing, but when it comes to that really forcing desire of this is what I want, and we are usually afraid. When I was afraid of, if I had this image or sentence in my head that if I let go of my desire, will I be motivated enough, or will I still get what I want? But I learned that, of course, when you kind of are at peace with whatever you get in your life, because it always has a gift. So when you are at peace, whether you get it or don't get it, it's fine. It's like when I went to that event, and before that I said, before that realization in November, I said I will meet the love of my life there. And when I let go of that desire, and I said, if it's the love of myself or any love at any kind that I find, I'm perfectly happy with that.
I love that.
And I think that was part of creating the magic as well. Although I don't know what exactly did it, but it's a series of things that we do in life that creates the magic.
And when you talk about that, it almost gives me goosebumps, because I think there's some kind of deep truth going on in that, and I can't quite pinpoint what it is, but there's some deep truth that just goes, yes. And I think the other thing that you said that I just think is so important, it's like my favorite question in the world, is who do you need to be and who do you need to become to attract these things, or to attract these people, or whatever it might be. So to have that relationship with that person, or to have this in your life, or to have those clients, or whatever it is, I do think that that's a really key question. Who do I need to be?
Yes. Usually we focus on what's on the outside. What do we want? What are we going to gain or get from a certain situation? But we don't really see who we need to become to handle that. It works with relationships, it works with success, it works with everything else. Because if you want success in any sort in your life, then obviously you need to become someone who can create that. So it's not enough just wanting.
No, absolutely not.
You kind of have to grow into the challenge.
Totally, absolutely. So for people watching this and kind of listen to your story and go, oh my goodness, I want some of that magic in my life.
There is hope for everybody.
Yeah, there is.
Try to go and run at 5 a.m. but
what would be your like, not top tips, because I don't like that, but like what do you think, what would be your advice, or your, like, these are the couple of key things that really helped changed the game for me that you would share with people?
Definitely working on self-love is an amazing journey by itself, but it is really part of the process of creating your own happiness, because unless you are happy with yourself and how you look and how you feel and where you are, and make peace with whatever is in your life, then you won't be able to embrace these miracles 100%. Like, for example, if I was standing there in the middle of the beach and I was concentrating on the 5 extra kilos that I have on me, or is my, thigh too thick, or my hair is too curly and I'm sweaty, obviously that would have created a different reality where I wouldn't have been that present in that moment. No. The self-love is definitely one of my biggest tips to people.
And what, because I really like that, but I think people really struggle with knowing how to start and how to do that. What's one thing that's quite easy that you would say people could start doing now to start having more of that self-love?
Create awareness, like get a journal, for example, or write down what you feel, how your days are going, what are your fears, what are your questions that you currently ask from yourself. Little things create your whole life. So these little questions, and what is your current focus on, and we can only measure and we can only look back on things that are recorded. So if you don't have a journal, or you can do it on your phone with voice recording if you wanted to while you're going to work, like you were talking to your best friend on the phone. And that's another great tip that I would like to share with people, that usually we have the habit of whipping ourselves all day and being hard on ourselves, that we are not good enough, we are not doing things right, oh my god, you're so stupid, you're so ugly, you're so this, you're so that. And I was one of these people. I was the hardest person on myself. And at one point I realized that what if I talked to myself like I was talking to my best friend? Would I tell my best friend that you're ugly, or you're stupid, or you were doing everything wrong and you're an idiot? Of course I wouldn't. So the way I talk to myself in my journals and in my recordings, or wherever I talk to myself, my self-talk is always like if it was to another person who is Maria, but with love, with the best possible intention, that you the best help that you want to give to someone.
I love that. That's absolutely love that. And I do think, I agree, journaling and writing it down and having that awareness and listening to what you're saying to yourself is also important. And I absolutely love the idea of like purposefully talking to yourself like you would talk to a best friend, someone that you really care about. I think that is perfect. Love it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to share or talk about before we hop off? Like, what's your have you got a like, what's next? Now you've got here, or are you just totally living in the moment and excited about where you are right now?
I'm very excited. Right now it's a little bit of a couple of months till we get the paperwork sorted. I will be in Hungary. And then of course it's a big change moving to the US, and there are a couple of other changes as well coming down on the road, but I'm very excited for everything that comes.
And getting ready to live your lives together. I think it's like the proper
absolutely
fairy tale. I think it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with everyone. And I do just think it shows that there is that magic in the world, and when you want something, it could be just around the corner.
It is.
So like, keep believing and keep going, and kind of get into flow with it instead of forcing it. I think they're all brilliant things that you said. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll stop the interview there. But thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Bye.
Bye.